President Trump will announce his Supreme Court pick.
Political professor Ric Epps, he is back with more on this. Rick, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, yes.
Okay, let's get to this. What exactly is at stake with this pick? This is President Trump's second Supreme Court nomination.
Well, it's significant because it actually shifts the court to the conservative side, and in a way that many people are very concerned about because of the potential ramifications for gay rights, immigration, healthcare, environmental issues, and other civil rights issues. And so the individual who they pick, or who is, if it's passed through the Senate, becomes a very pivotal part of that. And partially for the most important thing, because for those who don't know, they have a lifetime term.
Right.
So there's no get out of jail free card. And so you're talking about potentially, most of them are in their mid 40s to early 50s, you know, any conservatively 20 to 30 or more years, they could sit on that court and make those types of decisions. So it's tremendous. And the other thing about that's important is that most people don't understand that the Senate makes the decision. And so we elect the Senate. So it's important for people to understand, if they don't understand why this, what's the big deal, it's important to recognize that we elect the people who make the decisions to who that person is going to be.
We've been hearing, Rick, a lot from the Democrats over the past few days. Do they have any weight in this, any say, any influence on what the decision will be?
No, it doesn't seem like it, right? Interesting, they do though, in a way. I mean, it's right, you know, the Senate is split 51-49. Everyone knows McCain is very sick, and so he may not be there for the vote. And so consequently, it presents a problem for the Republicans because there are two potentially key Republicans, Collins and Murkowski of Alaska, who are concerned about Roe v. Wade, which is the abortion issue, right? And so those two individuals, if they happen to switch sides, could block a confirmation. Now, what that means, though, is that would push Trump to the position of having to potentially look for a more moderate justice in order to make sure that they protect some of these issues that are important to those individuals.
I'm glad you brought it up because Senator Collins has been on the news a lot, doing a lot of interviews saying, look, we're not going to make this a political decision. We're going to stick to the issues here. This is a Supreme Court justice. Is she kind of showing her cards at all, or do you think she's being keeping it to herself in terms of how she's going to vote depending on who the candidate is?
I think she's trying to hedge her bet. I think she's trying to also make note of the fact that she is not going to allow for anybody who is not supportive of at least maintaining the rule of law of Roe v. Wade to step in. So I think it sends a message, certainly politically, to not just Trump, but also to the Senate.
What are the names? Who are the names that are being tossed around right now that could fill the seat?
Well, of course, you know, you've got Raymond Kethledge, you've got Brett Kavanaugh, you've got the one woman who's Amy Coney Barrett, and Thomas, I can't think of his last name right now. This is Hardiman, Thomas Hardiman. And it's interesting because of the group, there are two of them that are a little more controversial than others. I think the two hot ticket people are probably Brett Kavanaugh. Trump tends to like the Ivy Leaguers, and he's an Ivy Leaguer, so and you know that resonates with him. I also think Hardiman is a potential for him, partially because of the fact that he was a runner-up to Gorish in the last run around, and so because of that, I think he's primed to be that potentially next.
Do you think he has the best shot?
I think Kavanaugh is the one he's a little bit hot on right now, and it's hard to tell with Trump. You know, he could wake up this, you know, and go, I think I like this one better. You know, especially because he likes this build up to this whole thing. The two potential, I mean, the other ones are still interesting. I think that Kethledge, he had a meeting with. I don't think he found him too interesting, so I think he's not so hot on him. Amy Coney Barrett could be an interesting candidate. However, I think the thing for her that makes it sort of risky for some is because of her religious convictions. And the question for this, and for any of these justices, they're all very conservative, is this. The question is whether or not they can set aside their own personal bias, because they're all biased, they're all political. When people try to say they're not, they are, because they're selected by the president, who's political, and they have to be vetted by Congress, who's political. So the issue for them is whether or not, for example, she's Roman Catholic, nothing wrong with that. She's very strong about in terms of her views on morality of abortion. But the question is, even with that, does she have the ability to be able to set aside that personal belief for the belief of the collective of the country. That's where the issue comes in. And so now, we'll see what vets out of this in terms of their own personal view, and that's going to be interesting.
Sure. Okay, so the president will make that announcement later tonight. We'll see who he picks, and we'll talk further.
Stay tuned.
Political professor Ric Epps, thank you as always.
Good to see you.
Appreciate it.